Welcome to Albuquerque Real Estate Talk, episode 499, August 2024, first week of August 2024. This week, we're going to talk about when bad economic data is good for the housing market. We're going to look at the July home sales. I almost had a hard time saying that. I can't believe we're through July already, Tracy. And master plan communities in the Albuquerque area. And I know you're tired of talking about it, Tracy, but we've got to talk about the changes coming to organized real estate and how real estate is practiced because it affects buyers and sellers. And of course, the real estate professionals quite a bit. And that just happened August 1st in the Albuquerque market. And of course, if you are watching us on YouTube, hit subscribe. We sure appreciate it and give boost our signal and help people keep educated on what's going on in the Albuquerque housing market. Morning,
So,
Tracy.
good morning. Always happy to be here talking real estate. So, Tego, I see your headline for our conversation today, and it's very intriguing to me, right? When bad economic news is good for housing, it made me go, oh, yeah, because that's true, right?
It is true in the sense that bad economic data is generally good for the 10-year, which affects the mortgage rate. So really it all trickles into the mortgage rate. So what's happened in the last week is the Fed made their talk this week. They did not change their rate, but they gave some clues on what they may do in September, which is most likely drop the prime rate. The prime rate does not necessarily equate equally to mortgage rates, but it's all about the cost of money. And so what's happened over the last week or so is the cost of money overall has dropped, which then pulls down the mortgage-backed security market, which then pulls down mortgages. Right now, we're seeing mortgages. I talked to a lender last night. We're seeing mortgages at 6.5 with a half a point buy down, 50 bips, as they say. And the headline rate is now around 6.6, 6.7 for mortgage rates. Again, that's, as I always say, the caveat is high qualified people with a good down payment and all that good stuff. But mortgage rates are solidly under 7% now, where they were solidly over 7% for quite a long time. And then on Friday, there was a jobs report, which was very weak. And this is what I'm talking about when bad news is good news. A week's jobs report basically is the data that the Fed needs to lower their prime rate. So what that meant is all the cost of money came down on Friday, which brought the mortgage rates down even more.
Wow. There
I
we
know
go.
it's all interconnected, but anyway, it is good news for mortgage rates. And I think there's a lot of people probably locked their mortgage rate this week that are out there shopping right now, and probably going to be some more locks here coming into next week.
I would think so. I know from the conversations with some of the local lenders, it's like I was calling everybody yesterday saying we're at 6.5 with a half point. Let's lock.
Yeah.
Or 6.625 with no points, right? And of course, like you said, that's somebody with good credit and stable.
Yeah, and I gotta say, don't take our advice on when to lock. Talk to your mortgage professional about it. That's why one of the things we always preach is work with a local lender that you can pick up the phone and call them. Some of these online outfits, you're just a number in their machine, and if you're working with a local lender, they're gonna be having those conversations about, "Okay, this in your situation, it might be a good time to lock your mortgage rate." So, there's that. Okay, can we do it?
If it has to do with stats, my
Yeah.
my
We
statomatic.
gotta do
Okay.
some July data. I've gotten a little bit more, let's say, liberal on doing housing cost or price predictions on the housing market in Albuquerque. I've been a little more aggressive on saying it looks like home prices are gonna be blah, 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 a month or 2 out, because the data that I have now includes things like what are the costs or what are the prices of homes that are in pending status. Right, so what is it gonna price out? So about a month and a half ago, I said, "It's looking like in July is gonna be another all-time high in home prices," and guess what? July is an all-time high in home prices again. The only caveat I'll say to that, it may be the peak for the year too.
Right. Which it typically does peak late summer, right?
Yep,
Between now and next spring, really, home
yep.
prices tend to either stay flat or pull back a little bit by next March.
So the median price for a single-family detached home of all the homes that sold, and let's see, how many were there? There were 844 homes that sold in July in Albuquerque MSA, 4 counties, and the median price of all those homes was 374,250. That is a
And
new high.
what you said earlier is these are detached single family homes. These
Correct,
are not the condos
correct.
or the manufactured homes.
And the
So you
reason
said the 4 counties, but let's be clear, it didn't include every type of home.
yeah, and I do that because I wanna get a real clear read on when I'm comparing month to month or year to year, whatever it is. Speaking of year to year, that is a 6.9% increase from July of last year in the median price. But I wanna show you something else here, Tracy. Let me pull up the chart. I know you guys online, you can't see the chart. We're looking at the chart. But if you look at the price per square foot, it's not as much. Where did it go? There it is. Price per square foot was up 3.5%
Year over year.
year over year. And I think that's closer to where we are from a price appreciation standpoint in our market. Again, when all things are considered and you look at all price ranges and everything, we're somewhere in that 3 to 4% year over year price appreciation, which is actually right in line with historical averages when you go 20, 30 years back.
So, Tigo, how hard is it for you to change your search data and include condos and manufactured homes and
Sure.
things to see what can someone who's looking for the more affordable, what's out there?
Yeah. So,
We had someone yesterday who called and they are a VA veteran just looking for anything, but qualifies for about $60,000
yeah.
in price and has decent credit, but it's like, I don't care if it's a shack. I just want my own place, right? And you're going, I can't even think of outlying areas where we can find him anything like that. And we haven't been able to for many, many years, right?
Yeah.
But I can't even say, well, maybe if you go out to grants or something, but it doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't. And if you're on fixed income like this person, and they're just, it's too bad because it forces people into renting when they really don't want to. They don't
Right.
want to be
Right.
renters, but they don't have a choice. Yeah, I will say this without giving away too much. There are some projects in the pipeline that would be, I don't want to call them tiny house communities, but it's very affordable, offsite built homes. They're still single family homes. They're offsite built and they're in a factory situation that somebody here in town is working on and putting that together to really truly have an affordable community. Right now, new construction, the entry level is like 300,000. I think there's a few that are, maybe just shy of that, but really you're talking like 330, 340 really for
New
entry level new
construction.
construction
And
right now.
that wouldn't be in West Side Albuquerque. That would be maybe Los Lunas.
Well, I know I think there's some up in the Hawk site, up in Mountain Hawk they call it. Yeah.
That's Rio Rancho.
Rio
I said
Rancho.
West Side
Oh,
Albuquerque. There
yes.
isn't anything in Albuquerque.
Maybe in the Southwest.
No, there isn't.
Anderson
Even
Hills? No?
Aspire, no.
No?
They're
Oh.
like 330 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Man. Okay,
So,
let's get
my
back to
question,
yeah, so back to your question. So remember I said for detached, the median price was 374,000. For attached, it's 272. It's interesting, almost 100,000 less for an attached, which would be a condo and townhome.
what's the chance of adding manufactured homes into that mix?
Yeah, let's do that. So if you look at
Oh,
manufactured
just like
home,
that.
yeah,
Look
I
at
know,
you.
I know.
You're a whiz.
A manufactured home, 236,000. Now, you have to put a little bit of you gotta understand that there were only 18 manufactured homes that closed in July, so it's not a big data set. And there were, like I said, 800 and
But
go ahead.
Tigo, think about it. We get calls from people and say, "It's fine. I'll go out to Moriarty or Edgewood and manufactured home, whatever. I work east side of Albuquerque. I'm happy to drive in and live a rural life." And they go, what's a manufactured home? And maybe 100, 150. You're telling us that this month the average was 236.
Yeah, so, like, Clayton
So,
Homes and some of the other, manufactured homes, they're doing a lot out in not Los Lunas, excuse me, Edgewood area, and but you're still 250,
right.
300.
That's just to bring it up to
Yeah,
educate everyone who listens.
yeah.
all of our listeners to say, yeah, not even getting a manufactured home. But one of the things that comes to mind when we talk manufactured homes, I know this wasn't on the list. When a lot of times when you go to places like Edgewood or towards Berlin or whatever, and you have a manufactured home, a lot of times you're on a bigger piece of land than if you would be closer in the city in a small home or something.
I do believe there are some manufactured homes you can buy for $100,000.
You can, not on land,
So just
but
the
you could
home.
put the package together.
Yeah, so
The
the home.
entry level manufactured home is right around 100,
Mhm.
and then you have to add on getting it to the site, getting the engineering and the foundation and the land.
I think the bigger cost is actually just getting the lot improved. So you've got septic well. If it's in a rural area, you got to get electric there. So I- the lowest price I've seen for a lot that's ready to build on or put a property on with all services is maybe 50,000, but that's going to be out in some areas that are pretty far out.
Well, we
Most close in, developed, ready to build lots, you're going to be closer to 100,000.
I do kind of think of myself as a land expert, and I've sold hundreds of pieces of land. And we often get people calling wanting to find a piece of land that they could put, some sort of offsite built property home on, right? Manufactured. And sometimes in Rio Rancho, something pops up that has gas and electric in the street and no septic. So we have to account for the cost to put in the septic. And a lot of times the well, but every once in a while, one pops up where there is water in the street and gas and electric, at least electric. But, maybe 50,000 on the low end, but obviously if it's got water, it's worth a lot
Yeah,
more.
water's the big deal because a well, especially on the west side, Rio Rancho is I haven't priced one in a while, but maybe
30
30,000?
probably.
Yeah.
So Vista Entrada, North Rio Rancho, right off 528 by
Mhm.
Enchanted Hills, almost to 550. They're typically half acre lots in there. Some of them are an acre or more just because of the way the land laid out.
Yeah.
But I just talked to somebody I've been talking to for years about their grandfather's land, and it's in the Vista Entrada neighborhood. So I just looked up all the data because in Vista Entrada, it's paved streets, underground utilities, right?
Yeah.
I don't think there's sewer though. It's still septic, right?
I don't
It's
recall.
underground
Yeah,
utilities. There's
but
no
they're
power
half
lines,
acres. Septic's pretty
acres.
difficult or septic is doable on a half acre. It's just much more expensive because you have to use the advanced treatment system to do that.
Right. So anyway, the lots there, I was surprised that it's a nice neighborhood, of course, selling for, 80, 90,000. It's a nice neighborhood because it's got paved streets and it's got underground utilities. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's nice.
And then we go down the whole road of custom building and the cost for custom building and yeah, anyway, let's not go there right now. So, Tracy, I did want to talk about this kind of what we've been talking about different neighborhoods, different parts of town is segue into master plan communities in our area. We haven't seen a lot of them like other markets. Like you go to Phoenix and there's these plan communities everywhere. Of course, it's a much 6 times, 8 times larger market than ours. We have some master plan communities that have been wonderful. We have some in the pipeline. We also have the new thing, which is the build to rent communities that are coming, they're getting basically the dirt's being moved right now for those type of communities. What master plan communities are out there?
Well, are you talking about right now that are able to be lived in or bought as new or just past master
Why
planned?
don't you go wherever you want to go with
Okay,
that?
well, let's think about some of the great master plan communities in our market, right? We've got High Desert, right? High Desert was a master planned community and it's got apartments, it's got smaller homes, it's got larger homes, it's got estate homes, really well done with trails and parks up in the foothills. A classic example, right?
Yeah,
And then,
it's especially the kind of with the air quote mixed use
right,
because you do have the apartments and the townhomes and then the single family homes and then even the big
estate luxury.
multi-million dollar estate homes. Yeah.
Right, right. So that's kind of what we're thinking about. I think back to Loma, Colorado in Rio Rancho, Tigo, and it was a great master plan community. I loved working in that neighborhood when they had new homes available and lots to choose from as far as pick your piece of land, pick your floor plan. They could build it, or they might have some already being built that you could just say, I want that house. But that was really great. That neighborhood is still much loved. They've got trails. A lot of the lots have views
I drove
and
through there for the first time in maybe 5 years. It's just I hadn't had a reason to go into Loma, Colorado, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, it's all mature and
all the
grown up,"
trees.
and yeah,
Yeah.
and it's just beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and Loma, Colorado is great because it's right next to the Rio Rancho Aquatic Center, which is amazing if you haven't been there. And the Loma or
The the
the
library.
library,
Yeah,
getting the right word out.
yeah.
The library
You
right
remember those
next to it.
things? They're called libraries.
Yeah.
We used to go
Well,
to them when we were kids.
yeah. We used to take the kids to the Corrales Library a lot.
Yeah.
But the library next to Loma, Colorado was a LEED built building, which means highly energy efficient. And it's got huge glass windows with views to the mountains. And it's nothing better than to just go sit there and read a book and look up once in a while and see the amazing view.
So
But
Lo
the high resort area has skateboarding, dog park, soccer fields, baseball fields, all right next to Loma, Colorado. But there's others, Tigo.
well, and the thing we think about Loma, Colorado, and then there's Cabazon, where Loma, Colorado was one builder, where we have Cabazon, where it was multiple builders. Again, it's mixed. You have townhomes and single family homes. You have some gated neighborhoods. You have some ungated neighborhoods. Again, in Rio Rancho, south end of Rio Rancho, we haven't seen anything like quite like that in a while. And then I just want to go through the list. And then Mesa del Sol,
Hmm.
now down that's
By the airport.
down by the airport, down south of the airport,
And
off
it's
University.
booming right now. There are several builders building new homes in that area, much loved for people who work on base, who work in downtown, who work by the university, or people who just want new construction in a nice master planned neighborhood.
In Mesa del Sol, both Loma, Colorado and Cabazon, for example, they were built out basically by the time 2008-9 hit
Right.
and the market turned. Mesa del Sol was just coming online when it hit, so it definitely slowed down the progress there, but now it's moving
Yep.
along again.
Several builders in there right now. Great neighborhood. We used to own a house in there. I
Yeah,
wish we would have kept it. It was a sweet property that was built by Twilight Homes, a local builder, and it was a really great floor plan. We sold it like the week before Netflix announced they were coming there, right?
of course.
Yeah.
Timing is everything,
Timing's everything. Others, just to
even bad time.
rattle off a few others, right? We've got a couple Del Webb active adult
Yeah.
55 plus communities. Alegria, which is technically in Bernalillo off of 528 in North Rio Rancho, was one of the first here, right? It's still great. It's built on the side of the bluff, so most of the homes there have some potential for a view.
It's on the site of the old Price's Dairy. If
Price Dairy.
people that have been around for a while know what we're
Right,
talking
right.
about. Yeah.
But then there's Muirhaven, which was another master planned community, all by Pulte, which is part of Del Webb, right? And that's just north of I-25, past Unser, northwest Albuquerque, very close to the freeway. So for a lot
Just
of
north of the
people,
freeway, yeah,
it's
on
been a great
Northwest.
one if you need to get across the river to get downtown or to the base or to work in uptown. And they also did a master plan, right? Part of it is the Del Webb active adult 55 plus with an amazing clubhouse with all sorts of great facilities that you can choose to take advantage of or not. The HOA fee is
Well,
very
you have a
reasonable.
client you're working with right now trying to find something, and you're actually having a hard time finding some resale in those neighborhoods,
I
aren't you?
am.
Yeah.
Well, they're looking really in Rio Rancho only,
Okay.
and they want a huge mountain view. And
Yeah.
there are opportunities, but the one we had our eyes on sold in Alegria,
Yeah.
and we're still watching for a larger home in Alegria to come on the market. They needed a little bigger than what's on the market right now. But in Muirhaven, they have the area of just regular single family homes, ungated, and then the Del Webb portion, which is gated, all master planned. And again, some of those lots have amazing views also because it's also a bit on a slope on the West Mesa there. So lots of them around. I could think of many others, but it's interesting, Tigo, because many years ago, the state put in a rule against eminent domain. And it's hard because we've got a lot of land like in Rio Rancho where it's hard for a builder to assemble all the lots because especially in Rio Rancho, those lots were sold one by one to people all over,
Yeah, so they're half acres. There was
more than half, but
80,000. Yeah, most okay, good portion of them, 80% of them were half acres, let's say, and all owned by individual owners. And Cabazon, for if people don't know the history, that was one of the last communities that got built where they use eminent domain to take all those half-acre lots and bring them all together to build out into a community that works for everybody, and there was a lot of controversy around it. It was, like, helping the big developers, and anyway, in the end, the use of eminent domain for development of a commercial product got banned in the state. They can still use eminent domain if people don't know what
Like
eminent
for a
domain,
road,
like for a road, like they're doing the
for the
Paseo de
public good.
yeah, so like Paseo del Vulcan, which is gonna be the road that attaches from basically Rio Rancho City Center all the way down to Double Eagle Airport, and they're using eminent domain to get all those half acre and acre lots all the way through for that road. But eminent domain doesn't happen, so what happens now you have to have developers, Mike Stillneck, right?
Michael Skolnick,
There you go, thank you, I got his name wrong, sorry, Michael. Is they go out and then connect with all these different homeowners or
all
own
over.
property owners that are all over the place and bring the lots together, and that's how the, Los Diamantes came together, which is a neighborhood just the
West
hill
of
west
Rest.
of Russ Medical Center, and it's a challenge. People think, "Why aren't we just building more homes? We have a housing shortage. Why don't we just build more homes?" It's not that easy, and just another example would be an infill project. There's a builder here in town that we know, and a lot of people, most people know who they are, but I'm not gonna mention names. They put a property under contract for an infill project in Albuquerque. It took them 2 years just to get it to close before they could even start working on the property because of the permitting problem. So
Yep.
I'm getting off on my soapbox about housing and how affordability is a big problem, and it doesn't seem to be getting fixed. For our solutions. All right, Tracy, we got a couple things we've got to cover again before we wrap up today. I did want to go back to one thing related to the market data that came out for July. Again, we're at the beginning of August, July data. There is a data point that we follow called month supply of and what this is, it's a measurement of supply versus demand. So it's a really good measurement because it's not just one or the other. It's taking both into account. And what we say is we say, okay, how many months of homes are on the market if the same number of homes sold next month? How long would it take before there were no homes on the market? So right now in Albuquerque, we're at 2.1 months supply across all price ranges. And that's still considered a seller's market.
Right.
In generally, it's been considered 5 months as a balanced market and over 5 months as a buyer's market. And the thing that's interesting when you look at it by price range, if you get under 400,000 in our market, it's actually under 1.5 months supply and getting closer to 1.2 months supply under 400,000.
Wow.
However, you get into the luxury market over 600,000, which is considered our luxury market here in Albuquerque, it's 4.5 months supply. So it's very different depending on the market. So, when people ask me how's the market, I say, what market are you talking about? Are you talking luxury? Are you talking entry level? Are you talking east side, west side? Are you talking with a pool, without a swimming pool? I'm just
Yep.
as an example, it all really depends. But again, overall, we're still considered a seller's market. But the other thing we're seeing, and you probably see this more than me, is buyers are really picky just because it's not like 2021 where everything would sell, no matter what condition the home was in, no matter if it backed up to a freeway or not.
Yeah.
Today, no, buyers are a little more picky. They want homes in good condition. But yet at the same time, half the homes that closed in July sold within 9 days,
Went pending within 9 days.
went pending within nine
Went
days.
off the market, accepted offer in 9
So
days.
those are July closings, which means these were May, June pendings.
Right.
So half those homes went under contract in 9 days. The other half are not.
Right.
Well, I don't say the other half, but there are a lot of homes that are just kind of sitting there for whatever reason, price, condition, location, the typical suspects when we
Yeah.
talk.
So this is Tracy and Tego Venturi with
Oh,
Real
yeah.
Broker. Love to hear from you. We're at 448-8888 in the 505. We're always happy to be here on the Kiva as well as on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and
Podcasts and
podcasts and
yeah,
everywhere.
Podbean and iTunes.
Yeah, yeah, so we
Right.
love to chat real estate, but we really like to help people with their home sales, with their home buys, and just give them good representation. So if you're in the market or have someone that should be, especially now with interest rates, give us a ring.
Can we close out just talking about the settlement or no, you got homes of the week.
Yeah, come on, Tigo.
Go.
Hey, we need to talk about 7019 Treeline Avenue Northwest in 87114. It's in the Volcano Vista School grouping of Tierra Antigua Elementary, Tony Hillerman Middle School, and Volcano Vista High School. Do you know that Tony Hillerman used to be my neighbor?
I know, your old
Won't you
neighbor.
be my neighbor? So it's 7019 Tree Line. It's 320,000, so it's one of those more affordable in our market. Can you believe I can say that?
Yeah.
It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage in Ventana Ranch. And when you look at these pictures, you're going to want to see this house. It is so cute. And the backyard is like xeriscaped, but there's all these raised beds with garden in it. It's
I know, I saw the
gorgeous.
photos.
It's
It's
a very cute house.
really great house.
It's open. Get on our website, find out. Saturday, 1 to 3.
Great.
So great house, new on the market. It's a very cute single story,
Address
nice
again?
house. 7019 Tree Line.
So somebody can just Google it. Tree line,
7019
2
Tree
words, 1
Line.
word?
2 words.
2 words.
We have others too in the pipeline. We
That
have
was a
one.
silly question.
Yeah, well, no, it's fine. It's good to know if you said to Google it, tell
Yeah.
us. We're not playing a board game where you can only say one word clues, but Tigo, we have another one coming soon on Oakmount in Rio Rancho. You
Yep.
want to talk about it?
Yeah, it's a house in Rio Rancho, close in 520 and
Southern.
southern area, central Rio Rancho, if you will. Older home built in, '70s, I believe, but nice ranch house, large, 2,100 square foot. In large in the sense that it was a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Somebody had added a huge
Bonus room.
bonus room on it. It does have a swimming pool, been completely remodeled like everything,
Yep.
and it's gonna be at 400,000, so call us on that. It's 3610 Oakmount in Rio Rancho.
Okay.
I've got
So
we gotta do this.
go
Or
for it.
do you got
Quick.
something else?
No, go ahead.
Okay.
I do, but no.
We gotta talk about the change that happened August 1st in Albuquerque in real estate.
Not
It's
just Albuquerque.
well,
It happened. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, so it happened August 1st in Albuquerque. Nationwide, it's required that it starts on the 17th for all Realtor members and all participants of a multiple listing service that we're members of, right? So the multiple listing service is really our go-to system for
Sure.
sharing and getting homes sold. But I'm gonna break it down to 2 really simple things because it's pretty complicated. But there's basically 2 things. If you're a home seller, you can no longer or the realtor can no longer offer a compensation to a buyer broker in the multiple listing service. So traditionally, we've always had some sort of broker to broker compensation. Hey, we've got this home for sale, we're listing it. And if you bring your buyer to our house and you help that buyer buy this house, we'll compensate you. And that was advertised in the multiple listing service. That's been banned. And when I say banned, not banned as a law, but it's a rule that is changing. And I've heard people saying, oh, the law is changing. Well, it's not a law, it's a rule. It's a rule for anybody that's an MLS member or a realtor. On the buying side, if you're buying a home, the new requirement is that you must enter into a written agreement with your buyer broker on how much that buyer broker is going to get paid. The idea here is to have full transparency on what the fees are and how that buyer broker is getting compensated because they've removed it from the MLS. So now there's this additional negotiation between the buyer and the buyer broker. And then there's also going to be an additional negotiation that we didn't used to have when you do a contract. So, how does the buyer broker get paid? Is the buyer paying it? Is the seller going to help pay some of that, which they can do? But it all has to be part of the negotiation. That's super high level. If somebody really wants to understand this, or if you're in the press and you want to understand it, because there's a lot of bad information out there on this, Tracy. And there's people telling their clients certain things that aren't necessarily true about this. And and to be fair, it's super confusing. It's super confusing. I was training on this at the association this week and 300 realtors, and you can see it's a lot to change. It's a very big change for our industry, and it's going to take a little while to shake out. So if anybody has any questions or want to talk about it, you can reach out to me.
So I know you said you were gonna make it really, like, high level, clear, easy to understand, but even me sitting here listening to you, I'm like, really what it means is our multiple listing service isn't gonna just say, "This is what you can make as a buyer to represent a buyer to buy a house."
Correct.
They have to take that field out of the multiple listing
Correct.
service. The other thing is that to go and show you a house, I have to have a written agreement with you before I can take you to the house. So for our buyers out there who are used to just calling and saying, "Hey, I want to see this house," and we just go show houses, we now have to have a written agreement. So if you are in the market to buy a house and you've been looking at houses with a realtor, don't be shocked when they say, "Hey, I can't show you a house again until you sign an agreement."
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that agreement really only has a few requirements. The most important part is what your fee is. There's a few other disclaimer caveats that are required, but nothing else. If somebody's asking you to sign into a long-term contract and saying that's required, it may be required of their brokerage because each brokerage can make their own rules on what's required and not required. But the actual settlement and agreement and the rule change is that you just have to talk about what your fees are and disclose that they're negotiable and that they're fixed and they're not going to change in the future and a few other things like that.
So you
So
had to go and make my explanation longer?
I did.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
did. I did because it's so confusing. And I've really tried to condense it down the best I can, not just for our team, but also to other real estate professionals. And it's gonna be a big shock to the system. So we'll see how it goes. People still need to buy and sell homes, and we'll be here to do that for them and help them through the process and hold their hand through all the ups and downs and roller coaster of buying and selling homes. It's what we do.
That's what we like to do.
It's Tego and Tracy Venturi, Venturi Realty Group, real broker here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. You can reach our office at 505-448-8888 or our website at welcomehomeabq.com. Take care.